Welcome to a new installment of the Advice Annex with me, JP Metz, the show where I give you guys my own 2 cents based on my own personal life experience. Now, I'm not a counselor, I'm not a doctor, I don't have any degrees, I suppose, but if I do have some experience in what you're talking about, if I feel like I can help you guys out, I most certainly will do that. So, if you need any advice and would like to be featured in a future episode of the Advice Annex, please call me. The number is 732-529-5772, or if you're a little shy to do that, you can email me at theadviceannex@gmail.com. Just try to remember to include your name, age, and general location so I have a general idea of who it is I'm talking to. So, today I think I would like to talk a little bit about, well, a bunch of things. I mean, again, I got a bunch of questions on a bunch of different stuff, so thank you guys for all your contributions, but I did want to remind you that, you know, I get questions sometimes that are really you guys just kind of really freaking out and wondering what to do, and you don't even know where to begin. And I think if you find yourself in a really kind of flustered, what the heck, I have no idea, kind of overwhelmed, world's on your shoulders, you can't even begin to solve the puzzle because it's like 10,000 pieces, I understand. I've been there. And in a lot of situations, I think what doesn't help is continuing to beat that drum. Do you know what I mean? Continuing to think about it. What I'm saying is sometimes some things we don't want to do anything. Not yet, because we're not sure what to do. And sometimes you just need to think about it. Literally just think about it. Do pros and cons. Making lists. What's a pro of doing this? What's a con? I think a lot of times we get wrapped up in emotion. We feel like something makes us feel an emotion, like, oh, I feel like a piece of crap, I feel really lonely, I feel like this or that, something way negative and unhelpful. You feel that way, but that feeling is telling you something. It's, for example, if you are dating someone and you just feel awful every time you go on a date, you feel like, ugh. That feeling's trying to tell you something. It's trying to tell you, this doesn't make me feel good. I want to do something else. So, if you overeat, for example, you overeat and you feel like crap afterward. You feel so guilty. You feel so, why did I do that? That's your inner guidance trying to tell you something. It's trying to tell you, please don't do this. It's telling you when you feel emotional and you feel really overwhelmed and you feel like overeating, it's telling you, please don't do that. Even though it's how you feel at the moment, your feelings, they don't need to be acted on. Just because you feel like overeating, for example, it's just an example, doesn't mean you have to go do it. It doesn't mean you have to act on that feeling. And that's why I'm saying a lot of times we feel ways, but what we really need to do is just sit and relax. Something's making us really frustrated and pissed off. Maybe we just need to sit and relax and breathe instead of running to the cupboard. Do you know what I hope that, I hope this is making sense, guys, but I just think a lot of times we feel like we need to do something. Let's get it done, when actually we just need to consider it, soberly consider our options, and consider what does make us feel good. Alright, so that was a long rant, but I'll get right to the questions now.
Hi Justine, my name is Tony, I'm 20 and I live in Minnesota. My problem is two of my really close friends and one of their girlfriends. They recently moved out back in the beginning of August into an apartment, and all of them moving out of their parents' house. Well, it didn't take over 2 weeks for my friend and his girlfriend to trash their apartment. The thing is, they live in this belief of denial that they aren't the messy ones at all, and blame all the problems on the other one who lives there, who actually does all of their cleaning. It's bad enough that none of my friends who live with them don't want to enter the apartment. It's Death Valley in there. I try not to be necessarily the peacekeeper of my group of friends, but I've always tried to help them with their problems. We tried talking with them, and all has led with them accusing my friend who lives with them of being too emotional, controlling, and passive-aggressive. I know this is a weird question, but we have tried so many things, and we are running out of patience with them, and we have no idea what to do anymore. And letting them destroy their living environment isn't really viable at this option. Thanks for the help.
Well, this is a pretty common problem, actually. I don't know if I know of anyone when I was in college that actually liked their roommates or felt like their roommate did their fair share. And when I look back on it now, like now that I'm older, now that I know, you know, I think what makes sense to do, and actually probably your friend, he sounds, you know, pretty rational, maybe he already tried this, but what you need to do, and I'm drawing this from my managerial experience. I was the manager of a store for quite a while. I was actually a little bit in charge of people. and it's hard because people don't like being told that they're not doing something, that they're slacking, that there's more they can be doing. People get defensive. They're like, oh, well, you didn't do this. They just don't. People don't like that, especially people that don't like taking responsibility. So the first thing that you need to do is level with them. Go down to their level, be like, look, and then make it all about the group and say we all need to make sure that the trash gets taken out, for example. We all need to do this. I realize I don't take the trash out as much as I could, and we all need to make sure it gets done. And you can tell that we're all not doing this because, look, there's trash everywhere. So let's make this not about who doesn't do it. Let's not point blame. Let's not point fingers at people. But let's just make it like a group effort. We all want a nice, clean apartment. So we all need to take responsibility to make sure that it gets done. And I think the best way to do it, in the beginning at least, I think when you've already been living together, it might be difficult to implement, but having a schedule, like so-and-so does it on Monday, so-and-so does it on Tuesday, so-and-so does this on Wednesday. Just having a list of common duties. So, I mean, see, the thing is, when it's like a group of people and everybody's capable of doing it, sometimes people just feel like, well, I'm tired. And I didn't cook that, so I'm not cleaning that. You know, I mean, that stuff can happen, but we all roll up our sleeves to do it anyway and not point blame and just make it about the apartment. Not about so-and-so not doing something, just make it about the apartment. Like, we all want a clean apartment. We all wanted a clean, functioning store that didn't have garbage laying everywhere. So I would say, you know, whoever's closing needs to make sure the trash gets taken out. Whether it's me, whether it's you, it was usually me, but that's besides the point. But just to make sure that everybody's doing it. So that if you were to say to someone, because your friend might need to remind them, well, can you please take out the trash tonight? Because your friend is always diligent in doing it himself, his roommate can't really get mad at him because he's not asking him to do something that he doesn't do himself. Do you know what I mean? You just need to just level out the playing field. And look, I'm not saying that I don't believe your friend. It probably is just those two guys, or those two people that are just total slobs. And it probably is all their fault, but they sound like the kind of people that won't respond to rationality. They just level the field, make it about everybody, and just all about the one common goal of a clean apartment. And these are the steps we can take to ensure that we're all contributing to a clean apartment. So when if your friend decides to do this, to come at them with a schedule, just make sure he makes it about the apartment, not pointing fingers, not accusing them of anything. Just saying, look, we're all obviously not doing our fair share because look at all this crap everywhere. So let's all make an effort now, equally. Here's a schedule, guys. Alright, so I hope this works out, and I mean, you don't even live there, so I don't know why this is your problem. But let your friend know all of this, I suppose, and wish him luck for me, alright? Now I'm gonna get to my email questions, because, well, I haven't gotten that many calls lately, and actually, I had a few calls that I got this past, over the weekend, but they weren't very, audible, they weren't really usable, so if you decide to call me, if you need advice, just try to make sure you're calling from a secure connection. I can, fix the calls a little bit so they're more audible, but sometimes I get calls that are just unfixable because they're so low or they're breaking up so bad. So again, if you're calling me, just make sure it's secure. Like, you're not calling me from, like, whispering in a basement. Make sure it's somewhere where you can be loud and clear. Or, again, if you need advice and you would rather not call me, you can email me at theadviceannex@gmail.com. Just remember to include your name, age, and general location, alright guys? My first email here comes from Will. He's 14, oh, so young, and from Montana. Will says, "Hey Justine, so I've had some confusion lately. About 5 months ago, I started to feel really lonely. So I thought it would be a good idea to go on a gay teen chat website, and I met a guy who lives in the Philippines. I've Skyped with him a few times now, and I used to message him on Facebook quite a lot. I always would say to him that we aren't together because I've never met him, and I need to know him better in real life, not on the internet. Of course, I can't meet him in real life because he lives so far away. And whenever he's not messaging me back, I feel like I want him, and that I'm just the loneliest person in the world. But whenever he actually messages me back, I feel like I don't want to talk to him. So, I guess my first question is, do I really like him, or is this just a thrill of the chase kind of thing? He hasn't messaged me back in 3 weeks now, and I feel really lonely. I'm not out of the closet at high school, so I couldn't get a boyfriend, nor do I believe that I need a boyfriend to be happy. But I can't seem to make myself not feel lonely, no matter what I'm doing. I feel like I need someone to support me through my life that isn't my friend or my family member. How do I stop feeling lonely and sad all the time? Thank you so much." Ooh, Will, I'm really glad that you asked me this, because I felt very similarly when I was 14. So, now I get to tell you now what I wish I knew when I was your age. Because I felt very lonely and upset at this age because, well, I was not gay, but I remember feeling out of place because I was always very overweight, and I never got to have the friends I always secretly wanted, like the popular girls, and at the time it made me, very upset. I was also bullied a lot, and I just spent the majority of the time upset and depressed and lonely. Very lonely, because I felt like I never had what I really wanted, or yeah, it's upsetting. So, okay, your first question. You're not sure if you really like this person or not. And I have to tell you, when you don't hear from him, you feel awful. But when you do hear from him, you still feel kind of awful. And now is a good age for you to get to know your inner guidance. Because there is a part of you that really, 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 really knows. I'm not sure what it is. Maybe it's your superego. Maybe it's, I don't know. But that knows what you really want, what's good for you. And you feel bad when you do hear from him, probably because this person is not good for you, or this person isn't what you are looking for. And you've even said yourself that you didn't want someone from the internet. You wanted someone from real life. So this is when you feel that way, when you do hear from him, it's your guidance telling you this person is not what you're looking for. You're looking for someone, in real life. And the only way to meet people like that are meeting people in real life. I mean, you can meet them on the internet, I suppose, but eventually you want to meet them in real life, right? Or at least according to your guidance. And So that's something to keep in mind. That's just your inside telling you something. It's like a gut feeling. You ever get like a bad feeling in your gut? Like, you know that feeling you get where when you forget your homework, it's just like a bad feeling in your gut, like, ugh, why did I do that? Yeah, like those bad feelings are telling you something. So you should listen to those because that guidance is always there. You tell me you need someone to support you through life that isn't friends or your family member. And I agree. I feel like that is very important. And you also said yourself that I do understand that I don't need a boyfriend or girlfriend to be happy. I don't need one to complete me. And I agree with you because I agree with you. I do not have a boyfriend myself, but I still feel pretty content. And I think who you need to get to know, so it is yourself better. Now, I know that sounds, I don't know, you want to hear something else, but think about it. You realize you don't need a boyfriend or girlfriend to be happy, because lots of people that are happy don't have boyfriends or girlfriends, so you know that. But you also say that it's somebody that isn't a friend or a family member, but it's somebody that's always there, right? That's yourself. I think a lot of people need to get to know themselves better, and they need to realize that you yourself do have the ability to make yourself feel better. And this is something that I really wish was communicated to me when I was your age. So I don't feel like I'm maybe telling you something that's over your head, but looking back on it, I don't know. I mean, I spent so many years so upset, so, you know, but even all the times that I was like taking medications and going to counseling, not that I'm saying that that's not a good idea. I mean, it could be helpful for you to have a counselor to talk to. But I also wish that I learned to trust myself a little bit more, that I learned that I am in fact a cool and good person. Just because I'm not like one of those popular girls doesn't mean I'm not like a cool person myself. I never appreciated myself when I was younger. So I do think it's in your interest to, the way that you get to know yourself better is just shifting your attention and focus to things that do make you feel good. What does make you feel good? What do you like to do? Really. I mean, sometimes we gotta do some things that we don't like to do, like homework, sometimes, but I think it's important to be happy to do some things that do make us feel good some of the times, like sometimes when we can. I feel like we should devote that time to what does make us feel good. And if talking to this person or waiting for their message doesn't make you feel good, then I don't think you should do it anymore. I think you should do something else, like read a good book that you like, or watch a YouTube channel that you really like, or draw, or write something, whatever you really like to do. I think you should do that. And it's okay if you're doing that instead of talking to someone. It's okay. You know, you can just do what you want to, alright? So I hope this is helpful. I hope you realize that being lonely is okay. Sometimes people just go through lonely periods in their lives, but it's okay because as you're living life, doing things, you do meet other people. People come along and people go away, but then more people come along and then they go, you know, it's like people are always coming in and out of your life. So that's why it's important to be cool with yourself, okay? So that you're not dependent on those people too much, because they might, you never know, you know? I hope this is helpful, Will. I hope it's giving you something to think about, and I just hope that you come to appreciate yourself a little bit more, okay? Good luck, Will. My next question comes from Evie. She's 16 years old and from California. Evie writes, "Hi JP Mets. When I was 13/14, I was molested and generally heavily sexually harassed by my first close friend. I was able to get away from her after a year. Good, Evie, I'm glad. And since then, I have been recovering from what she did to me. However, I have lasting issues as to trust and intimacy. I develop crushes and date people, but after a month or so, I get terrified and get myself out of the relationship as fast as I can and generally end up hurting people. I get lonely, and I want to date people and be intimate with them, but No matter how hard I try, there's always that fear, and it freezes me up and it makes me lose control of my thoughts. And I feel so bad for hurting their feelings, but I don't know what to do. I thought I'd let it go, but it seems like I haven't, and I don't know where to go from here. I really appreciate any input. Oh, I'm sorry, Evie. I really hope that you've got someone to talk to actively about this stuff. You know, someone besides me, either a close friend or family member or a counselor. I just hope that you're really talking this out, because this sounds like a pretty horrible experience. It is. I mean, I hope, you know, you should... I hope you realize this, that there are reasons why you are kind of reacting the way you are now. It's because this was really crappy. You know, this was your best friend and they hurt you, and that sucks. So I just wanted to say to you that I think I'm very proud of you for at least realizing this issue. I mean, the first... If you want to change something, the first step is recognizing it. And I mean, look at you. You recognize that the reason why you keep kind of leaving relationships is because this happened to you. And I mean, that's a huge step. I mean, some people suck at relationships for years before they connect the dots, you know. They just assume they're like a crappy person. But no, look, you're like taking the bull by the horn, and you're like, I do this and I don't want to anymore. And that is awesome. That's really good. So that said, just because you realize that, just because you know that's why you've made that connection, that light bulb has turned on, that's not going to change things overnight. So I don't want you to feel bad if you keep slipping up. See, when we decide to change something, you're like, you know what, I'm over this, I'm changing. It's not going to be, you know, it's going to be a moment-by-moment decision. It's going to take time, is what I'm saying. And I don't want you to feel bad if it doesn't happen immediately. It means you get better and better. And when you do get better, you have to kind of pat yourself on the back a little bit. Be like, look, I'm getting better and better. Look, I've hung in there with this relationship. I returned that phone call. I wrote that email. You know, every time, if you realize you have intimacy issues, every time you reach out, you should recognize, be like, yeah, I did that, good for me. You know, give yourself a pat on the back, because it is something you're actively trying to fix, right? So, I don't want you to feel bad if it's not 100% fixed right away, because this will probably be something that you have to kind of struggle with for a long time. I mean, and there's no timeline of how long it's appropriate to be upset about something like this. Some people just, you know, they're over it in like 2 seconds. Other people hurt for years. And no two people are exactly the same. I don't want you to feel bad if you struggle with this for a few years. Everybody heals at different timelines. So, I mean, I don't think you're doing anything wrong here. It sounds like you're trying to improve yourself, and it sounds like you're getting better at it, because you're trying. A lot of people don't even try when they realize they're doing something. You know, they're just kind of like, oh well, throwing their arms up in the air. I guess I suck, and I guess I'll suck forever, and I'll always suck. So what's the point of even trying? Look at you even trying. You're trying. You're doing what you got to do, and when we want to improve ourselves, we gotta do it slowly. It's not gonna just happen, alright? So I think you're doing great. This ain't even a problem, Evie. This is awesome sauce. So I want you to keep me posted on your progress, alright? And that'll do it for today's Advice Annex. So if any of you guys out there, you need any advice for a future episode, please call me. The number is 732-529-5772. Or you can email me at theadviceannex@gmail.com to try to keep it short, and remember to include your name, age, and general location. So, yeah, again, thank you for all the calls. I'm happy for such a variety, and I'm glad you guys are trusting me with this stuff. I appreciate it. And I appreciate all your contributions. Now, there is a MP3 download for this episode. It's down in the description box. I'm gonna continue. I'm going to have an MP3 for every episode. I really need to remember to say this in the beginning, in case any of you guys start watching this on YouTube and you would rather listen to it. But anyway, yep, the MP3 is in the description box of the YouTube video. It's free, so this way you can listen to it whenever, on your way to school or when you're doing homework or whatever else. So that's there for you guys, and otherwise that's it. So I hope you guys have a great week, and I will see you on Thursday. Bye.